to this exciting video where you once again join me in an area which you may recognise from the Glenisla show video when we actually brought the old 1949 P6 Fords Major up here to the Glenisla show that was held in that field. But today's adventure, I've basically come back to Glenisla, here we walk and here we adventure, and I've pulled the car in here next to the Kirk car park, and it's just a beautiful area in Scotland. The kind of lower area of the Scottish Highlands here. We're kind of on the border of the Scottish Highlands in Glenisla. Let's see what the notice board says here. Oh look, a request for help recording the historical artefacts of Glenisla. And look, we've got a wasp. Don't know if you can see him there, the wasp's flying around in front. But yeah, look, they're literally wanting people to document it. Well, all they have to do is watch the BKR channel on YouTube, folks. We've documented so much in Glenisla with forgotten crofts and ruins, all the way to the Cold War history with the Cold War bunkers. And yeah, it's incredible over the years with each adventure to piece together the history like little bits of a puzzle, and then after years you get a true idea of what went on in each of these little Scottish glens and landscapes. And today I've actually come to the Cateran Trail, which passes by the Glenisla show field here, beside the Glenisla Hall. And look, there's a proper little path. Years ago you had to actually walk up the road to get to the start of the path, but it's cool that they've actually made it like a wee path up the side. Look at this, folks. Getting married, come to Glenisla Church. And if anybody is getting married in the area, here's an idea for you. Look, you visit that website, glenislachurch.org, and little communities like Glenisla are it's amazing. The word is community, really, I should say. The people that live here, or the people that manage these areas, are a community, and that's something that's getting lost from the modern way of life. Often in the big cities and stuff, 100 or 1,000 people can walk past you and none of them will say hello, whereas in an area like this you could walk along and every single person you meet will speak or say hello. And yeah, that's what I love about the little glen communities of Scotland. It's almost an old-fashioned way of life, and it's cool on my channel to share that side of Scotland as well as the things that we look at and document. And yeah, there's an old historical bridge. It's been ages since I've come here. The Cateran Trail leads somewhere over these hills, but I'm just hoping it's not too overgrown, because I'm sure the whole path won't look like this. There is another cool historical artefact at the far side here, and there's actually an old obelisk, which is a memorial to a gentleman here on the hill at Glenisla, and it's pretty much forgotten here as well in the lands. Let's get into action, folks. Look at these autumn colours. This beech tree in front of me is starting to turn orange for the autumn, and that's a sign of things in Scotland here at this time of year. So check this out, folks. That's the actual original path going to the main road, and look how overgrown it is at this time of year. It's a complete jungle, and that's why I'm saying this is one of my classic spontaneous adventures. I'm going to go as far as I can go, or we'll explore something along the way. And yeah, look, this is somebody's little holiday getaway down in this field with a caravan. There's a wee barbecue fire pit kind of area over there. Look at this willow herb fireweed is in full swing at this time of year. Today I'm just seeing so many wasps. That seems to be the creature of the day. I've not seen any bees yet, just so many wasps. And when I was getting ready at the car, putting my jacket and stuff on, the wasps were trying to fly in the car door. Yes, check it out, folks. I love this old bridge, and I have been to it a couple of times over the years, but today we're passing by this on our journey, and it is an incredible feat of engineering. This old ironwork, cast ironwork, and all the railings and stuff that lead its way across. I think it would be classed as like a suspension bridge, because it's kind of held up from these diagonal pieces. And on here I can actually see 1824. JN Justice Dundee, 1824. Let's hope I don't fall into the River Isla, which we're now crossing over the top of. Wow, this is kind of eerie in a way. Like, I can feel the wooden spars under my feet moving, and they're actually at an angle, and the whole bridge is actually swinging right this second. Whoa, mad action. Because of the heavy rain, we had extreme rain yesterday, You can see the peaty brown colour here in the water, and that's from the peat obviously getting washed. Whoa, I'm getting spider webs all over my head. But yeah, that's from the peat getting washed out of the higher boglands in these glens, and then the rivers end up looking like that. Obviously the further down the glens and stuff you get, the darker the river is. And yeah, I think this is the Cateran Trail, folks. Check this out. It could literally be an overgrown wilderness, but even this section here, look at it, it's like a picture postcard of Scotland. Look, the wee waterways have been directed down through the stones. The sound of this stream gurgling its way down through the land, it's just incredible. And I love seeing all these wee plants and stuff that grow throughout the land. You could often just walk past a place without even noticing the smaller, finer details. It's just, I often say, like paradise landscape, and it's because I love the way the moss and stuff grows, or the clear waters flowing down through, and you see the pebbles below. It's tranquil. Anyway, I'll update you. I'm going to punch on a bit further and see how overgrown this actually is. It's not actually too bad yet. Look at this little plant here. So I've just basically been battling through that natural forest kind of woodland. It's kind of like a boggy area. And look, the Cateran Trail here leads on up this hill, and I've never actually been on this section of the Cateran Trail. That's why it's interesting to see. So far the path's been okay. I've been through some pretty overgrown sections. Obviously now we're out onto the Heather Hill, and it's often like going to a different country or something. When you go through different areas of Scotland, the landscape can be so different. Each like section of a walk like this can be so different. So yeah, let's punch on up. I'll update you once I'm further up here. So back in Scotland, more than 2,000 years ago, there used to actually be a lot of hill forts and different kind of fortified hills. So when I'm on walks, I often look at the lie of the land and try and figure out if like a hill has been fortified. And it's quite fun. Often you can see where things have been done. When you look at the land in a certain way, you can see ancient remains of history. And even down beside this tree on the green section, I can see an old wall line the boundary. What a madness, folks. My car's parked way over there at the other side of these green trees. Just beautiful. I'm loving today's walk. It's really hot temperatures, but when I first got like out of my car, it looked like it was about to rain, and in Scotland you just never know, and that's why I've put the thin coat on today for this walk. Mission update, folks. Check out this view. This is actually Mount Blair over here behind us with the mast on the top, that big massive mountain. And look at this, it's a crazy hillscape, and I've kind of come up the hill higher now than the purple heather, and it's getting more grassy. There is still a fair share of heather up here, but it's definitely more grassy up, and I can actually see a new point of interest on this mission, folks. We're going to head up to that cairn built up on top of this hill, and then I'm going to get such an incredible view over the land from this hill. Here's the next Cateran Trail marker post. So yeah, I'm still on the right track, folks. It's going to be an incredible view from up here. This is incredible, folks. It is very, very windy at the moment right here. Look, this kind of a strange area here. This is the cairn we could see for a distance. A cairn's traditionally a pile of stones built up here on the highest point of the hill by walkers, each adding a stone to the pile to mark their little journey to the top of the hill. There has been times in Britain though that people have actually dismantled ancient wonders just to get a stone to lay on these things, and that's a shame. Yeah, look at the top of this hill, folks. This is interesting to see. It's mad to think there could be gravel or something in here, or it looks like it's been quarried. Whoa, what a view. And look, there's an even higher hill at the far side. This pile of stones here looks like it's been brought when they've been clearing the fields for grazing lands and stuff. I think all the stones have been piled up there in a heap. Whereas this mound here, this is different. It's an interesting peak on this little hill, and I can actually see the Cateran Trail continues over that way. I think I'm going to follow it a bit further. I wonder which old farm like built these walls here that I can see leading over the countryside, because I think there'll be a little croft nearby here somewhere that was potentially managing this land, and it would be cool to see that. I'm just thinking about literally having a wee look over that peak there, and then I'm going to head on this way. I do apologise if it's windy, the windsock keeps going in front of the lens, but that's what my adventures are all about, folks. It's spontaneous, going left and right over the lands, uncovering ancient historical wonders. And for sure, this mound in the ground here is a curiosity. Maybe a little miniature defensive position at an ancient time, or maybe a higher peak in the land that was innocently quarried. But nowadays, that's where that cairn stands on top of the hill. Yeah, but let's take a walk. This must be the farmer's route that he comes along with the quad. We'll walk past this big pile of field stones here, and then we'll have a look over this peak. So when I look at this massive pile of stones, I believe it's definitely been from them clearing the lands. So that's what this would normally look like. You can see the bigger stones have been cleared, then probably the smaller ones, and then gradually the land was clear enough for their agriculture, for grassy grazing lands. Yeah, there's unusual mounds in the ground with like big stones and stuff. It is a crazy piece of land, and I do love exploring areas and places that I've never been before on the channel. So I've got an excellent view over this ridge now, and I was just trying to figure out like what this hill has been originally, if it is just natural land or if there had been anything built. And I came over to look at this rise in the ground. Some places in like the Yorkshire moors and stuff in England, they've got like ancient burial mounds and stuff like that, and they do have this same characteristic. But I think with this scene, it's a natural hill. I'm going to punch on further now down the Cateran Trail, and we'll see what we get into. I was just curious to see if there was any remains of buildings and things over at this side. But yeah, let's head this way, folks. So once I go into the Cateran Trail again down here, I've got no idea what direction it's even going. I'm not sure if it goes that way or over the hills that way, or potentially doubles back somewhere else. And that's why I love these adventures. It's like you don't know if you're even going left or right, but the Cateran Trail's got kind of a clear path, which is quite welcome at this time of year when things are so overgrown. So far, the first section of this walk was the worst bit, through the boggy kind of forest land. Yeah, this is an angle of this place. We've never seen this area before on the channel, and that's what I love bringing you every week. Different views like this. We can see the hills so far all around. I can actually see rainstorms way in the distance, and that's kind of been what it's like. I've been lucky today to avoid any rainstorms, but that could change pretty quick in Scotland. So yeah, let's move on with this adventure, folks. So that is actually called a dung roundhead. It's cool to see a dung roundhead and be able to name it. And over the years on my channel, as we see loads of cool different like plants or fungi growing, we can learn them together as we go around our adventures, and you get an idea of what's like growing in Scotland. So here's the main Cateran Trail leading up this way. That was my little side mission when I went up to analyse this area of land, document history like never before on the channel. I can actually see the quad tracks keep going that way, and that shows there's probably another way I could walk down that direction. I can see a lot of stone walls and outlines over there, and it intrigues me because I always think what kind of history is just round the corner. So I'm going to follow this track a wee bit further and see what we get into. Look at this, folks. Here's a fun little crossing over the wall. Look at these old wall lines. These would have been built back at the ancient times of Scotland, and then they would have been upkept and maintained. And look, it shows it's kind of a diagonal route from here that I need to go. And that's cool, because I was keen to actually have a look over here and see if there's anything hidden within this tree line, and I should get a good view of it if the path goes over here. Look at this, folks. This is another section. We've made it up to the corner of the forest that we could see in the distance. And this is where I was actually theorising there may have been an old building or whatever. I do apologise if there's wind in the audio. I do have the windsock on. And yeah, check this. This is a madness, folks. Here's the sign. Oh, it looks like it's going that way of all places. The path actually continues on up here, and there is multiple wall lines within this forest. Yeah, it looks like the Cateran Trail sign's actually putting me through the forest, and I think I will go there. But another little side quest on this mission, folks. We're going to have a wee look over the brow of this hill or whatever, or just take a look at the lie of the land. This is incredible, because if you look at this old wall lines, how it goes round and then it encloses this piece of the forest. That was how from a distance I was thinking, oh, I wonder if there's been anything built in there. Maybe the croft that originally managed these lands. Wow, this has just been beautiful. When I clicked record for this clip on the video, the sun kind of just went behind these dark clouds. I'm just hoping that we didn't get any bad weather. It has been brilliant so far, apart from the strong winds. I'm being a bit more daring in these lands because there's so many sheep grazing these lands. They'll have taken most of the ticks off the land, and that's what you find at this time of year. If you walk in well grazed lands, you find a lot less ticks. And yeah, the side quest that I was on there, I couldn't actually see anything, but I could see the old stone boundary line goes up to the top of the hill, and I'm thinking the Cateran Trail must cut to a similar direction, so I'm going to follow it around this next section through the forest. And I do love a little forest walk. The thing is, you have to watch a forest obviously on a windy day like today, because there is these super big gusts, so I'm keeping one eye to the sky when I'm in these forests. So I love forests and I love trees, folks, and I love the character of this old beech tree. But look what makes it so special. There's another tree literally growing out of this beech tree. Both these trees have grown together, their roots entwined, growing from the same spot in the land. Both trees growing up through. That's incredible to see that, and that's a rare thing to see with trees. You don't often see them both coming from the same central piece like that. And now I'm in the forest on the path. I'm keeping one eye all around. One for the trees, but also for the history that could be hidden within this area. So this is a clip of what the forest section looks like, folks. Up at the top I can hear the wind blowing the trees strong. But down here it's a peaceful calm. The trees are still. And it looks like the whole of Glenisla is kind of sheltered from the wind by this hill. So in these Scottish glens, folks, you've actually got no phone signal at all. It says emergency calls only on the phone. And that's something that people maybe didn't realise about some places in Great Britain or these remote landscapes of Scotland. Literally there's no phone signal, so you really have to have your wits about you. Because if you try and even look at like Google Maps or Google Earth or something, you wouldn't get a signal in this land. Check it out, folks, I'm just allowing this herd of sheep to go about their daily business. Or I should say a flock of sheep, sorry folks. What am I like? Using the wrong terminologies. That'll upset some of the viewers. Look at them, they're running along here and they're going into that field. But I wasn't going to advance my position on the track because that would have blocked them. And I can see they're clearly wanting to go up there. So I'm just basically chilling here, watching the whole flock move past. And that was when I thought I need to throw the camera on. Because literally there's been loads of them, and this is only like the last few that I've managed to record. But yeah, I'm just giving them time to go across the land. They're all excitable and they're all running. So this is what the other side of the forest track looks like on this Cateran Trail, folks. And yeah, it's just beautiful. Look at the forest lands at the other side of Glenisla. I think that's where I normally park when I go to like Loch Chandra and stuff, and then I walk all the way up round the back of there. This is an incredible scene. It's almost like moorland at this side. And I think the field I was in at the top of the forest was actually the one way up there. The land here is incredible. You can kind of see how it's changed. It's a different look. And I'm not actually sure. Oh, the Cateran Trail actually goes down here of all places. I can see it. The sign points to the left. I'm not wanting to be scaring these sheep all over the glen. You can see they're actually in the middle of the Cateran Trail, and that's why I'm waiting on them basically shifting. They're actually shifting now from left to right. But also I'm no stressing the sheep out, because if you flag them too much you can stress them, and again, that's not very good for an animal. Look at this, I was just noticing these stones. Often in lands like this there is piles of stones, and that is once again stones that's been cleared off the land for grazing at an ancient time. But the piles of stones still remain. So look how different the land is here compared to what we saw on top of the hill when we were up on the wild heather hill, and it's amazing the different variation of landscape in today's adventure. And when I woke up today, I had no idea that I would be standing in such an incredible place today. And it is mad every week coming to these wee corners of Scotland that I've never put on video before. Over the years we get a true picture of the land, and this Cateran Trail stretches all over Scotland, and over the next few years I'm going to do little areas of it and little segments, because some of the Cateran Trail actually goes past some cool historical wonders. Sometimes they're kind of hidden away in remote parts of glens that's only accessed on foot like this. So here it is, folks, the Cateran Trail actually cuts to the right here, and it looks like it takes me along past the farm. The track does actually go two ways at this point. It goes along that way as well, but this is the way the sign is telling me to go. So it looks like the next section of this walk actually takes me through this current farmyard, but I think there's a way I can actually make my way down to the main Glenisla road from here and probably do a full circuit back up to my car, because I think the other option would take me into the far glen over towards like the Ailith side and stuff, and I think that would be so far from my car. This has been an incredible circuit round here. Yeah, I'm not even sure how to navigate through. I'm hoping it's well signposted so I can get through the farm. Mission update, folks. I'm actually further down the track. I didn't go down to the main road at the farm like I planned. I've kind of continued down the track, and I'm hoping there's a secondary route we can go to get back to the main road. So the adventure's not over yet. You know how it is, folks. It's a madness on this channel, exploring these little tracks and roads. And this is actually the Cateran Trail that probably heads around towards the Blairgowrie area of Scotland, I believe. But we're still in Glenisla at this moment, so yeah, it's a mad adventure. So check this out, folks. This is the kind of history that I was promising you I would uncover up on this adventure. Near the Cateran Trail, we've actually got this burn which comes down off the hill. Over the years it's been redirected many times, but look over here at the far side. It's actually remains of what I believe has been a well. And that is so cool to see. I'm going to jump down. Yes, this is amazing, folks. Let's jump over. Documenting history like never before. Into these lands, I shouldn't even be climbing through this. It'll be tick infested. But check this out. Look, it's an old historical construction right here in the land. See, it could have been an ice house which used to be located nearby water sources, but to me this looks more like a well, which was also something that they built strategically near water like that, because the fresh water would filter through the ground and then fill the well. And if that is the case, this will be a very, very deep hole. But what a mad little bit of history to see in the land. And look at it, first time on the channel. Whoa, it really slipped on that mossy rock, folks. Look at that for an angle of Scottish history right here. Absolutely mad. Yeah, now I need to navigate back out of here. I think there's a tick literally right on my trousers right there. Whoa, there's beasts running all over my trainers. I need to get out of this environment. It's a harsh, horrible environment I'm in, folks. I need to get out of it. It's like panic stations when I saw all those creatures running about on me. It's because it's a damp, humid, wet environment, but that's what I put myself through, obviously, to get the coolest content for you folks here on the channel. And today's adventure's been mad. Exploring this bit of the Cateran Trail. Basically the whole walk today for me is worth it to see that, and it must be related to the nearby big house. That was mad, folks. What a crazy amount of creatures. That's the reason I tucked my trousers into my socks. Back there I was going to go down to the main road at the farm, and then I thought, no, I'm going to go a wee bit further and keep this adventure going. We've not seen enough cool history. And then bang, out of nowhere, that wee historical nugget down by the water's edge, which I believe is a historical freshwater well. And it'll be dating back ancient times, probably like 18th century kind of at least, or older. And that's cool to see that here on the videos. It is amazing, like, when you go around Scotland, there's just wee things hidden here, there and everywhere. And a thing like that to many people wouldn't mean too much. But to me, I see an incredible piece of abandoned Scottish history undocumented. And each year it gets covered over more and more. The history gets slowly forgotten in generations, and the coolness of it, or the interest of it, is just gone. And to these lands they look wild and untamed, but it shows back at an ancient time that was a crucial wee source of water on the land. And probably people would have been coming down there every day to get their fresh source of water. And that is cool. I'm going to go a wee bit further on this track. It has been probably quite a long video by this stage, but I'm just punching down the Cateran Trail. So check it out, this is the area where I actually came down from the forest, down the edge of the field, and then jumped over, and that was almost like another little side quest. We went and found that historical well, and now I'm going to go this way on the track, and hopefully there's a way that kind of leads me back roughly to where we saw those quad tracks going towards the hill with the cairn on it. I'm hoping to kind of come diagonally across there somewhere. But once again, it's another spontaneous bit of this adventure. I wasn't sure. I thought originally I was going to go down to that farm and then cut down to the main road, and then I was curious just to go a wee bit further on the road, and then it was just by pure coincidence that I found that. I just looked down through the trees and saw the built stones, and I could not like leave it. I had to jump down and document it, jumping over that little burn. And yeah, like, I just love finding stuff like that. That's the heart of the action. The most interesting things, just think who would have built those stones in at the time making the well. And I wonder how deep it actually goes down into the ground. The reason I think it's not an ice house is because I've documented so many ice houses before, and that's not how the entrances look on them. So yeah, it's cool. And it's no a lime kiln because of its position on the land. And that's why it's guaranteed almost 90% to be a well. Also, its close positioning to the stream, that's another sign or a signal that it's been a well. So yeah, it's cool piecing the historical parts together and figuring that out. Didn't even know there was such a thing there, and I'm not even sure if it would be shown on maps, but I love just getting boots on the ground and exploring, putting one foot in front of the other and seeing what I find along the way. Check it out, folks, from this vantage point in the land we can actually see the cairn at the top of the hill, and we've done a circuit right up that hill and right the way around. I've followed this track, but I'm not sure if it does come directly back to where I need it to go. I think it maybe just leads to these farm sheds around here. But another cool thing, I can actually see the Glenisla obelisk there within those trees, so I'm not sure if I'm going to punch over that way. It's kind of spontaneous. As you can see for these rocks, like, there's droplets of rain on them now, and that's because the rain has kind of come on. And yeah, I don't even know where I'm going yet. I'm going to follow this track and see what it looks like once I get to this gate. Yeah, so it looks like there is a track actually leading over here. Over there, look, there's an old vintage Davy Brown tractor, folks. I love to see that. It's a 990 with a loader. Wow, that's got so much character, folks. I love to see it. I was wondering what was making the noise. It's literally this electrical pole. It's making a buzzing noise. I think this is obviously private farmland owned by the same farmer that we walked past down at the far end. And yeah, I think I'm going to follow this track, this direction. I think it's my only option at this point. Check it out, folks. All weathers, all conditions, we're out here in Scotland documenting the coolest things. The Cateran Trail adventure. It's been a mad one. But yeah, I thought I would put the camera back on to show you how heavy the rain's gotten. There's literally patches of blue sky and stuff, and I'm pretty sure that the rain will go off soon enough. Check this out, folks. It's the Glenisla obelisk, and I've not been here for ages on the videos. I'm going to get a bit of shelter. Oh my goodness, I was just going through that long grass there, folks, sending it down here. And it's mad that an obelisk can actually give you shelter. I'll wipe the lens. We're getting closer to Cateran and Glenisla, and my car's literally parked over there. This is a memorial to the gentleman Patrick William Small of Kirkhillocks, born in 1840 and died 1870, and this monument was erected by his friends in Glenisla and elsewhere who knew his worth and mourned his early death. December 1872, and what a cool piece of history this is, folks, to have on the channel today as well, considering all we've seen and everywhere we've been. Whoa, look how heavy the rain is over beyond those trees at the far side. Wow, this is just like a magic scene. Right here I'm getting actually no rain on me. I should once again wipe the lens. People don't even come and visit this hardly in Glenisla. It's a mad obelisk and it's such a cool thing. It's like hardly visited and hardly seen. And I hadn't even I hadn't even seen it documented until I visited it a few years ago. We could see it from a distance and we had to come and like document it, and at that time the wee bridge that we first came over was shut and we really struggled to get round to this location. We did a mad detour through the lands and ended up coming that way. But today it's just mad to come here and think, like, 1872, look at the care and the craftsmanship, shaping the stone, building such a magnificent construction in such a remote land. Probably when it was first built it was easier to see it before these birch trees grew up all around it. It's on this prominent piece of land here, and there's even the old cast iron fence there down at the bottom of the hill. And look at the care that was taken in 1872 with the cast pieces on this gate. It's not just a plain boring gate. They really spent their time not only on the memorial but also the surrounding area. And just look how it's changed since that ancient time until now. Wow, yeah, this is a mad little area. I think I'd probably be better even just going straight across there, because it looks super overgrown the further down this track that I'm looking, and I'm really not seeing a path. So yeah, I think I'll cross over and just go diagonally across here, make my way back to the Cateran Trail. Yeah, look at this ancient ironwork on the fence. And then that obelisk, it's hard to see even when you're pretty close up. What madness, we've literally done a full circuit right up round. And it's an area, like I say, of the Cateran Trail that I had never explored. Most of that I had never known was even there. Especially we like that historical wonder that we found with the old well, forgotten in the lands. And then to see this as well, I wasn't even planning on coming around this way, but it's spontaneous, going left and right through these countryside glens. I've said it already on the channel many times. And yeah, I'll update you once we're closer to Glenisla. There's old stone boundaries and wall lines leading across here as well. The grass is so wet now, I'll probably end up with wet feet by the time I get to the car. So my car is literally parked probably like 400 metres across that direction. But the River Isla is coming down here, and it's probably like half a mile, I would say, up to the bridge. So I'm just sticking to the decent grassy field to make my way around. I'm just kind of picking a route through the short grass. Mission update, folks. I've made it back to the main Cateran Trail. I've just come down that way from the edge of that kind of field bit. And look, this is the trail. I'm sure I came through here on the first part of today's adventure, and that's been a mad circuit, documenting history and landscapes that we had never seen before on the channel. And yeah, it's cool to see the nature and the countryside along the way. And every week I always love going to places that I've never been and seeing these things that we've never seen. And today it was the Cateran Trail, but also that incredible well, which was a lot of places had a well back in the day, but it's rarely seen like an abandoned well like that. The way it was built so well with the stone construction on the circular forum. At one time a hustling bustling area probably where people were getting their water, and then nowadays it's just forgotten in that forest. And then to see that obelisk, that was a cool thing as well. And then to end it off, this little bridge, before I make my way back along to Kirkton of Glenisla car park, I'm going to end this one here on this little bridge over the River Isla with a squeaky little gate. Sounds like something from a horror film. And wow, yeah, what a cool adventure it's been, folks. I'm going to end it here. Who knows where I'm going to go next on my videos, but thanks very much for tuning in, and I'll be back soon with the next one, wherever I end up going. See you soon.